there, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to be reviewing a TV show, which I usually don't do. I usually review books, but this is an exception because it is the Shadow and Bone TV show on Netflix. This was developed from the Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows books by Leigh Bardugo, and I watched it on Friday, the day it came out, and I have a lot of thoughts. Before we get started, I just wanted to ask you guys to like this video and subscribe to my channel, pretty please, with a cherry on top. But without further ado, let's get into this Netflix show review. First, I wanted to talk about the books and what I thought about them and what I rated them. Let's see. I read Six of Crows 2 years ago. I read it before Shadow and Bone. It is actually what got me back into books. Before that, I had only been steadily reading Cassandra Clare for a good 4 years, but these books got me. They really got me. I rated both of Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom 5 stars. I thought they were amazing. I loved the plot, the found family, the characters. It was all really good. One thing that you would know about me if you watch my videos is that I do not care for Matthias in the books, or I like Nina, but Helnick was really boring in the books, and I did not look forward to their chapters. Just like, they didn't hit, you know? But I absolutely adored Canej, Kaz and Inej, and Wesper, Wylan and Jesper, and so I gave the book 5 stars because I just really loved it, and also I give almost everything 5 stars. Next are the Shadow and Bone books. I didn't read these until a few months after I read Six of Crows because people just kept saying like they were boring, and I was just like, yeah, I really don't want to read that. But then I realized that I'd want to read these books to understand the show, and it really did help me, so I'm glad that I did. But I did not rate these very high. I'm pretty sure I rated Shadow and Bone 3 stars. I think Siege and Storm was 3, and maybe Ruin and Rising was 4. But I did not really care that much for them. They were boring. I don't know. It was just a lot about war and royalty, which I'm not like obsessed with. Like, I don't really care for the royalty trope that much. And also, I am the #1 Darkling hate bot in the world, so everything he did made me so mad, so angry. Like, I did not like him at all. And Malina was okay in the books, just a bit boring. Like, you know, there's just no flavor. Like, I don't know. The only ones that had flavor were Nikolai and Zoya, so that's why I kept reading, was for them. But again, the Shadow and Bone books just did not shine. The TV show, however, let's get into this. Let's get into this review. Let's start with the things that I think were not good. First, the most glaringly obvious, what every reviewer has touched on, what fans have touched on that confused them, was the added racism of the Shu Han, who are like basically an analogy, is that the right word? An analogy to like Asian people. Not just Asian, but more like East Asian, probably. Jessie, the actress that plays Alina, is Asian, and she was made to be put through like racism as her character because she was Shu, and the Robkins were at war with the Shu. And the thing is, it was very unnecessary. We see multiple points where people talk about Alina's eyes, like getting rid of them, her being called a half-breed, and all this other like not good stuff. There was like propaganda against the Shu Han with like racist imagery, like fully just like absolutely racist imagery. It was insane, and they showed it a bunch of times. but there was absolutely no point to it. Like, they didn't say why the shoe were at war with the Rovkins, or why the Rovkins hated the shoe, why they added this element to the show. It was just another way to make Alina suffer. And there was no real, like, plot that came from it. Like, we already have an allegory towards racism with the Grisha, who are, like, killed and enslaved and called witches and druze, or whatever they're called, by the Fjordans. Like, it's not clicking why they had to add racism when there was already an allegory towards racism that worked pretty well and didn't, like, trivialize, like, real life racism. And the consensus with most of the reviews that I read have been that it was pointless. Like, there was no reason. And they made another, like, Asian character, like Zoya, be racist towards Alina, and then, like, get mad at someone being racist towards Inej. Like, it really makes no sense, and it really, it was not good. Like, I don't really understand why they did that. And Netflix and their interns clearly know it's bad, because they posted the scene where Zoya calls Alina a half-breed and then cut that bit out. Like, they cut that bit out and, like, just posted the rest of it, of, like, Zoya, like, beating up Alina. It was really, really annoying, and I truly don't know why they did that. Another thing they did was with Kaz Brekker, the main character of Six of Crows and the leader of the Crows, if you haven't read the books. They didn't make Kaz as cunning as he was in the books. Like, really even as ruthless. Like, there were a couple scenes where it did show his ruthlessness, and I'm hoping that they expand on that next season and make him even more, like, feral. Like, just like a fucking, I don't even know. Like, I'm sorry, I just want to see one of my favorite characters kill people. That's all I want. That's all I want. We do have one scene where he goes absolutely crazy, and it's legendary. Got it right here.
I only need one good leg. However, you look like you need both hands.
But that's really all we see of his, like, ruthlessness. And they made him a little less smart. Like, Kaz always had a plan. He always was tricking people. And in the show, we didn't really see that. We saw him stuck at a lot of crossroads. And I think it's because they mixed the Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone together. So the Six of Crows gang was facing problems that were so extreme that they didn't face in the books, that they had to come up with solutions to make it seem, like, less easy for the Crows. But still, I wanted to see, like, that intelligence that Kaz has, the scrappiness in the books. And I basically already touched on this with Zoya being racist, but they really did not do Zoya's character justice. She wasn't, you know, that mean girl that I was hoping for. We just got a racist. I wanted a mean girl, like, you know, Y2K, chick flick, movie, mean girl aesthetic, like, just a fucking bully. Like, that's what I wanted. And I love Zoya. I love Book Zoya. But I just didn't get that vibe from her. All I got was racist vibes, and not good. And the actress, she was a bit all lives matter during the Black Lives Matter protests last summer. So, like, just looking at her face, I'm just like, oh, great. Also, I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but let's talk about the Darkling. Ben Barnes was the fan cast 10 years ago, when he was not a retirement home escapee pushing 50. But now in the show, he's pretty old, and I know the Darkling was supposed to be immortalized at, what, 19? look like a kid. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, because when the Darkling looks young, or you read him as a young person, it makes you forget how old he really is. And then you're just like, oh, this is cool, this is fine, this is great. He's kissing a 17-year-old and putting a collar on her, whatever. I mean, he's just like 2 years older than her, whatever. But when you look at Ben and his old face, you're like, that's kind of creepy. Like, it's what the kids didn't see before in the books. All those Darkling stans that love him a lot. They didn't see truly the difference, the power imbalance between the Darkling and Alina. And I can't decide if it's a good or a bad thing. Because one, I do not find Ben Barnes like super attractive. He's like, I don't have daddy issues, so I'm not like obsessed with Ben Barnes. But I think it's good to like show, like, it illustrates that power imbalance that you don't really see too much in the books, because you have to visualize it yourself and you're imagining a younger person. Now let's talk about stuff that I thought was really cool. First, Kaz and Inej, baby. Like, oh my god, Kaz and Inej got me. They got me. I do not care what anyone fucking says. I love Freddie Carter as Kaz Brecker, and obviously Amita is amazing as Inej. Like, I haven't seen anyone say that they don't see her as Inej, because she is Inej. And they made Kaz a little more touchy-feely, like in touch with his emotions. Not really, but like a little bit in the show. And they made his motivation Inej for a lot of the show instead of greed. And I kind of liked it. Like, hello? Like, we had so many good quotes from Kaz and Inej. Like, I only invest in the one of a kind. She's not like you. No one is. Or, no saint has ever watched over me, not like you have. And it's so fucking good. And like, we see the turmoil Inej is having with staying with the crows and killing versus going and hunting slavers or finding her brother, which was a new addition to the show that wasn't in the books. It was just finding her family, not specifically her brother. And going with Alina, who needed her help. But Inej, in the books, killed people. And she did cry after her first kill, and that was discussed in the books. But we do see this in the show, that she had her first kill saving Kaz's life. And this look afterwards, incredible. Oh my god, the score, everything about it was in-fucking-sane. Kaz saying, look at me, like, oh my god, you saved my life. Holy shit, they were incredible. I absolutely adored them. Freddie did such a good job at portraying like this contained desire mixed with like revulsion because of his touch aversion. It wasn't touched on this season, but I'm not too mad about it because it wasn't relevant this season. It will be next season, which I'm excited to see. But we see Kaz's like inner conflict. Like, he stares at, like, there's so many quiet scenes, him staring at Inej, like Inej laughing in the last episode and he's just staring at her and then he looks down. Or when she got hurt and he was like, Inej, and then he like didn't get near her and he looked like pained. Like, it was so good. And let's talk about Matthias and Nina. I look like a goddamn fool because I hated those bitches in the books. Like, together, not good. Did not enjoy it. Boring. In the fucking show, I was whipped. I was looking forward to their scenes. I was like, where the fuck is Matthias? Where the fuck is Nina? I want to see them right now. Every scene was a goddamn hit. Every single scene with them in it was a serve. And it made me so mad because I didn't like them in the books. Is it their chemistry? Like, is it Danny and Callahan's chemistry? Like, is that what it is? Is it because Callahan is the sexiest man I've ever seen? Is that what it is? Because I feel like I've been bamboozled. I've been tricked into liking them, and I am so mad about it. But like this?
No. I'm beguiling you.
Stop it.
No. This is strenuous work.
Quit it.
Come on, how am I not supposed to like it? Like, they put crack in those Hellnick scenes. I am convinced. Anyways, before I get too worked up, let's talk about Mal and Alina. The show also made Mal and Alina more interesting than they were in the books. It could just be that Archie and Jesse are some really great actors, and their scenes were just like, there was this like spark, and it was just lovely. Like, the childhood best friends to lovers, with those two specifically, Archie and Jesse, shined. And the hand imagery, oh my god, it was so good. And that the meadow imagery, I really liked it. I saw a lot of people didn't like it, and most of them were Darkling fans, so that's probably why. But I really enjoyed the meadow imagery and the hand imagery. Like, I'll meet you in the meadow, and then don't you dare say you'll meet me in the meadow. Like, it was really, really good. Like, Archie and Jesse served. They're so good. Because in the books, Mal doesn't realize his feelings for Alina until like way, way later. But in the show, you can really tell he's always been in love with her. Like the way they look at each other, and the way he just, I don't know, the way he's like protective over her and like goes crazy like for her and goes after her. Like, book Mal wouldn't have done that. Show Mal outshined. Like, he served. I love him. Archie, sexy. So I also loved Jesper. Kit Young is an incredible, incredible actor. Like, wow. He's so good. He's already, I'm pretty sure, booked and busy with another Netflix project, and I'm not shocked, because he was one of like the stars of the show. Like, he was so fucking funny. Like, the way he just embodied like the character of Jesper was insane. Like, he was so good. Like, I don't want to ignore the fact that they did cast a light-skinned black person over a dark-skinned black person, considering Jesper was dark-skinned in the books. But I feel like Kit didn't let down with his acting. We also had Milo the goat.
Throwing out the goat! Shut the damn goat! It's not bait, it's for you! I need you to calm down. Cut the goat. Shut the hell up.
This is something that I think is gonna become the fan base's like thing, is Milo the goat. It's hard to describe. It's like what every fan base has that's like, it gets like used so much that it's like run into the ground. Like, it's talked about so constantly that you're just like over it. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say like the Raven Cycle books. Noah Zerny had like a glitter snow globe once. It was like, ooh, glitter. And now like Raven Cycle fans are just like, oh my god, Noah loves glitter. Oh my god. Like, it's just something that gets like blown way out of proportion, and so much so that the show is gonna try and profit off of that. Like, I am absolutely so 100% sure that the goat will be back next season. I also absolutely loved Daisy Head as Jenya. Like, how gorgeous is she? And her acting was incredible. Like, every scene with her was like amazing. I adored her. I also fucking love David. Let's talk about David. Obsessed with him. Like, in the books, he's like cool, like whatever, cool guy. I'm not like waiting for his scenes or like, oh my god, give me more David, like whatever. He was fucking funny. He was such a good character. Like this scene right here.
Hello.
He threw a fucking book at Jesper. Like, that's really funny. It's really funny. I think a lot of the show had some humor that the books didn't. Like, the books had, like, humorous lines, but it was mostly in Six of Crows, I would say. Shadow and Bone wasn't as jokey until Nikolai got there, but in the show we did get a good amount of fun, like, lighthearted scenes, which I really enjoyed. Let's talk about the amplifiers though. Like this, oh my god. I really like how they changed this in the show from the book. In the book, it was just the stag's antlers made into a collar that went around her neck. But in the show, it goes inside her. Like it's in her skin. It's embedded in her. She cannot get it out. She cannot break it. I think this really, really highlights like how, like, against her will, and how it was a invasion of her own like body and her control. I don't have the words that I want to say, but I think it was so good at just showing fans like the Darkling is not a good guy. He's not Alexander. He is the Darkling. He kills people. He abuses people. He's not good. And I know like Kaz Brekker isn't good, but it's different. Like I want some good old fashioned just like murder. I don't want I will destroy all that you know, all that you love until you have no shelter but mine. Like, I don't want it disguised as love so that people think it's a good thing. Like, I want the show to keep showing fans that this dude is not good. Some of the special effects were not that great. Like, some of the fire and Alina's light, one, it wasn't consistent. And sometimes it just looked way too bright and white, and then sometimes it looked orange. Like, I just wanted some consistency in that, and then the quality of the effects. And I did see one of the producers say that they didn't have a big budget, which is probably typical for the first season of a lot of shows. So I'm really hoping that they give them a larger budget if they get renewed for season 2, which I'm sure they will. But I think if they give them a larger budget, the effects and the show overall could be better, because a lot of stuff looked like just cheap, kind of. Like, I was expecting the Keftas to look a bit more royal, but they were probably focusing a lot more on scenery and sets than they were on wardrobe. And I'm pretty sure their budget was $22 million, but I don't know how good that is for a fantasy series. Like, that's a good budget for an action movie probably, but for fantasy with special effects and like crazy fucking stuff like happened in Shadow and Bone, like, it might not be that much. Last time I checked, the overall critic score on the tomato meter for Shadow and Bone was 85%, with I think 200 something critic reviews, and then with 800 something fan reviews, it was at 99%. So that is really, really high. I don't know about that 85%, but the fan percent was really, really high. If I had to give the show a star rating, I would give it 4 out of 5 stars, maybe 3.75 stars out of 5 stars. Overall, it was really, really good. There were things that I didn't like, things that I would have myself changed, but I'm not a part of this. I'm just here for the ride, just a fan. So I think it did a good job at bringing the books to life, aside from a couple characters and a couple things. It really made Shadow and Bone more tolerable than the books were, and it was a bit lacking in the Six of Crows department, but I just really think that that's because it was kind of like a prequel to what Six of Crows is going to be in the further seasons. It is probably going to get a ton more interesting once we have all of our crows, once we have Nikolai, once we have everyone together. I think the cast's chemistry is incredible. I love them together, and as time goes on, they're gonna get closer and their acting is gonna get even better. So yeah, those were my thoughts on the Shadow and Bone show. I hope this video wasn't too long. I hope you didn't find it boring. I hope you liked my thoughts. Leave comments down below whether or not you agreed with some of the things I said, or disagreed, or flat out want to fight me for something I said. But yeah, I will see you guys next week with a bookish video. Not sure what yet. We'll fucking see. But yeah, I will see you guys later. Bye.